All right, so we're diving deep today into, well, kind of the future of anime.
Okay.
We got some really interesting articles here
Uh,
about AI dubbing, Netflix's most watched list, and then there's this whole thing about a Dragon Ball Z remake.
wow. Sounds like a lot to unpack.
It is, and it's all, stuff that's going to impact people who love anime, like how we watch it, what we watch, even how it's made. The whole landscape is shifting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting, right? Because we're seeing changes coming from inside the industry, like creators experimenting.
Right.
And then there's also these outside forces like the streaming giants who,
Yeah.
they're really reshaping how we experience anime.
Yeah, for sure. So let's start with this AI dubbing thing. Amazon is experimenting with AI-generated dubs on Prime Video, but they're calling it a hybrid approach. Like it's AI plus human professionals.
Okay.
So what do you make of that?
Well, it's interesting. There's a lot of anxiety around AI and what it means for creative industries.
Right.
So by emphasizing the human element, Amazon is probably trying to, kind of soften the blow a bit. But the question is it genuine or is it just clever marketing?
Yeah, that's a really good point. And it's not just a small experiment, right? It's like 12 licensed titles are getting dubbed in English and Spanish.
Wow.
And that means a serious investment from Amazon, right? So does this mean they're going all in on anime?
It could be. And remember when the president of Crunchyroll mentioned that they were looking into AI for subtitling?
Right.
He even hinted at maybe using it for dubbing in the future. So it seems like there's a larger shift happening across the industry.
Yeah. So what does this mean for voice actors? I mean, some are understandably worried about their jobs, right?
Yeah, and those concerns are valid. Can AI really capture the nuance, the emotion, the vocal performances, especially in anime where it's so, well, over the top?
Right. I mean, think about those iconic voices like Goku or Naruto. Could AI ever really replace that?
Exactly. And it's not just individual characters. Think about how different studios have their own style, their own signature sound when it comes to voice acting.
Mm-hmm.
If AI becomes the standard, are we going to lose that? Will everything start to sound the same?
Yeah. Would you personally feel like something was lost? Like if you were watching an anime dubbed with AI, would it change your enjoyment of it?
That's a good question. I mean, on the one hand, AI could make anime more accessible,
Right.
especially to people who don't like subtitles. So that could be a good thing, bringing in a wider audience.
Yeah.
But there's also the risk of losing that artistic touch, the skill of human performers.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so it's not just a hypothetical either. Like Netflix, they're already a huge player in the anime world. And speaking of Netflix, let's talk about their top 10 most watched list.
Okay.
They just released it, and it's interesting.
Yeah, what stood out to me was how many classic titles are on there.
Right.
Like Naruto, One Piece.
Mm.
It shows that people still love them. They've got staying power.
Totally. Those classics never really go away. But then you have newer titles, like Dan to Dan, breaking into the top 10.
Yeah, that's cool to see.
It is. It shows there's still room for new stuff to really grab people's attention.
Absolutely.
And this kind of brings us back to the dubbing thing, right?
Hmm.
Think about it. If more people have access to dubbed versions, could that boost those numbers even more for the classics and for newer shows? Like, would it change your viewing habits?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, dubbing could attract a wider audience. People who might not normally watch subtitled content might give it a try.
Yeah.
And that could lead to, even more fans, a bigger global audience for anime. It could really cement its place in, like, mainstream entertainment.
So more dubbing, potentially more viewers, both for new and classic anime.
Right.
But what does that mean for the industry itself? Could that shift in viewing habits actually influence what kind of anime gets made?
That's a really interesting question. If studios see that there's a bigger potential audience, thanks to dubbing and wider accessibility,
Yeah.
they might start prioritizing projects that they think will appeal to, well, a broader demographic.
Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing? Would it mean more diversity in anime, or would it push creators towards, safer, more generic stories that everyone can understand?
Ooh, that's tough.
Hmm.
I mean, it could really go either way. It depends on how studios approach it, right? Whether they're willing to take risks, to try new things,
Right.
or if they just play it safe.
Yeah,
It's definitely something we'll have to keep an eye on.
absolutely. Okay, so we've talked a lot about AI and accessibility, but let's shift gears a bit. There's this whole buzz around a potential Dragon Ball Z remake.
Oh, yeah.
And it's got fans talking, for sure.
Yeah.
The character designer, Katsuyoshi Nakatsuru, he kind of hinted at it. And what he said was interesting.
Yeah, what did he say?
Well, he's aware of how tricky remakes can be,
Right.
especially with something as beloved as Dragon Ball Z, right?
Right.
He talked about the need to appeal to new audiences, but also to honor the original. Is
Yeah.
that even possible?
That's the big question, isn't it? Remakes are always walking a tightrope.
Right.
I mean, Dragon Ball Z, there's so much nostalgia attached to it.
Yeah,
Any changes, could be met with pushback from fans.
totally. Imagine changing the art style.
Oh, wow.
Would people accept it, or would it feel like, it's not the Dragon Ball Z they grew up with?
It's true. And then there's the story itself.
Mm-hmm.
Do you stick to the original plot or do you update it?
Right.
And if you do update it, how do you make sure it doesn't lose like the essence of what made Dragon Ball Z so good in the first place?
It's tough. And then it makes you think about, AI's role in all this.
Oh, interesting.
Like, could you use AI to upscale the animation or even to recreate the voices of, voice actors who aren't with us anymore?
Oh, that's getting into some deep territory.
It is, right.
AI could be a powerful tool. Imagine the visuals, right? It can make it so much more immersive
Yeah.
and maybe even help bridge that gap between generations, make it feel more modern.
But then there's the other side.
Yeah.
Using AI to recreate voices, it could feel, I don't know, artificial.
Right.
And then there's the risk of losing that original vision, the charm that made Dragon Ball Z such a huge phenomenon.
You're right. It's like the double-edged sword.
It is.
And it'll be fascinating to see how all of these technological advancements play out, not just with Dragon Ball Z, but with anime in general.
Yeah, it all comes back to that question, right? Will AI make anime better or will it take something away from it?
It's a question with no easy answer.
No, it's not.
But what's clear is that AI is already changing things. It's impacting how anime is made and how it's distributed.
Yeah, we're seeing it happen right now.
It's a pivotal moment, It's exciting and then also a little bit scary.
It is. It's like we're on the edge of something huge, but we don't know exactly what it's going to look like yet.
Exactly. And that's why these conversations are so important.
They are. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's bring it back to the viewer. Why should anyone care about all of this? AI dubbing, Netflix rankings, a possible Dragon Ball Z remake.
Well, because it's all connected, right?
Huh.
These aren't just isolated events. They're part of a bigger story about where anime is going and how we'll experience it.
Exactly. Like, AI dubbing could open up a whole new world for you as a viewer. New stories, new genres that you might not have even considered before.
Right.
And platforms like Netflix, they have so much reach, so much influence.
Yeah.
They're playing a huge role in shaping what anime gets made and what people actually see.
And then you have these remakes, like the potential Dragon Ball Z one, which could introduce those classic stories to a new generation or give longtime fans a new way to experience them.
Yeah, it's all connected.
It is.
And it's all part of this constantly evolving art form.
Exactly.
So whether you're a diehard anime fan or just starting out, these trends, they're shaping the future of the stories you love and how you're going to engage with them.
It's important to be aware of these changes, to think about them, to talk about them.
Absolutely. After all, the future of anime, it's being shaped right now, and it's a conversation that we all need to be a part of.
Well said.
And we're going to delve even deeper into it in just a moment. So stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive, where we'll continue exploring these trends and what they mean for the future of anime. And we're back. It's really kind of amazing to think about how anime, which started as this niche thing, has become this global phenomenon.
It really has.
It speaks to, its power to connect with people across cultures.
Absolutely. And now with all these changes happening, the technology, the streaming platforms, it feels like anime is entering a whole new era.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's exciting, but we also have to think about, the potential downsides.
Right.
How do we make sure that anime keeps its artistic integrity as it becomes more mainstream, especially with technology playing a bigger role?
That's a really good point. I mean, one of the things that makes anime so unique is its visual style, the storytelling.
Yeah.
It often pushes boundaries, experiments with different genres, themes. It would be a shame to lose that.
Yeah, it would. Imagine a future where algorithms decide what anime gets made based on data and projected views.
Oh.
It could lead to this homogenization of content,
Right.
where everything feels safe and predictable.
Exactly. And that's a real danger. We don't want to lose that diversity, that originality.
Yeah.
It's important for studios to keep taking risks, supporting new talent, pushing the limits of what anime can be.
And that's where the viewers come in, right?
Yeah.
You can actually shape the future of anime by supporting the studios and creators who are doing something different.
Absolutely.
Don't be afraid to explore new genres, new styles, and be vocal about what you like.
Your choices as a consumer, they really do have an impact. If you support the kind of anime you want to see more of,
Yeah,
you're sending a message to the studios.
right. Okay, so we've talked about the good and the bad, the possibilities and the risks, but let's step back for a second. Big picture, what do you think the future of anime looks like? Are we headed for this, like, utopia of endless possibilities, or is there a darker side to all this progress?
It's a huge question. It's like trying to predict the future.
I know, right?
It's a gamble. But if I had to guess, I think the future of anime is probably somewhere in between.
So like an anime gray area?
Yeah, I like that.
Tell me more.
Well, I think we'll definitely see incredible advances in animation technology.
Okay.
We're talking visually stunning, immersive experiences.
Wow.
AI will probably play a bigger role in production, maybe even opening up new creative possibilities.
Interesting.
And with streaming platforms, anime's reach will just keep growing, becoming even more popular.
So far, it sounds pretty utopian.
Right. But there's that gray area, like how these advancements are used, who's controlling them.
Okay, I see where you're going.
There's a risk of greater corporate influence. Studios might prioritize profit over art. We could see more formulaic content, stuff designed to appeal to the widest possible audience.
Right, like losing that unique charm, that willingness to take risks.
Exactly. And then there's the ethical stuff to consider.
Oh, right.
What happens to voice actors if AI dubbing takes over? How do we
Right.
prevent the technology from being misused, like for deep fakes or other harmful stuff?
That's a good point. So the future of anime is full of potential, but also potential pitfalls.
Yeah, it's like we're at a crossroads.
It is.
And the choices we make now will determine which path we take.
This is why it's so important to have these conversations, to be aware of what's happening, to think critically about these changes, and to engage with them.
We can actually help shape the future of anime in a positive way.
It's almost like anime is a mirror, reflecting these bigger shifts happening in society.
Oh, yeah.
We're all dealing with this rapid technology, trying to figure out what it means for us. Anime has always been good at exploring these questions, like the relationship between technology and humanity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Remember shows like Ghost in the Shell or Serial Experiments Lane? They were dealing with virtual reality, AI, the blurring of the physical and digital.
Years ago, way before it was like part of our daily lives.
It's true. It's like anime creators have this ability to, anticipate these complex issues and work through them in their storytelling.
It makes you wonder what we can learn from those stories, What insights or warnings can we get from anime's exploration of technology and the future?
That's where things get really fascinating. Anime can be like a testing ground
Oh,
to
interesting.
different ideas. It can show us both the good and the bad of technology, depending on how we use it.
Almost like a cautionary tale.
Yeah,
So-
exactly.
Yeah,
Showing us what could happen if we let technology control us.
right.
But it can also inspire us to think differently, about the possibilities. Anime can spark our imaginations, make us question what we believe, and encourage us to imagine alternative futures.
So it's not just about entertainment, it's about engaging with these big ideas, having these conversations about the future.
Yes, and that's why you, the viewer, need to be an active part of this conversation.
Yeah.
Don't just watch. Think about what you're seeing.
Yeah.
The messages, the themes, what resonates with you, what makes you uncomfortable, what questions does it raise?
And share your thoughts. Talk to other fans, discuss your interpretations, support creators who are pushing boundaries and exploring these themes.
Because the future of anime, it's a collaborative thing.
Yeah.
It's shaped by the creators, the industry, and most importantly, the viewers.
So as we, kind of wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Okay.
I want to leave you with this thought. We've talked a lot about how technology is influencing anime.
Right.
But what about the other way around? How might anime, with its unique storytelling, its imaginative worlds, actually influence how AI develops?
Whoa, that's a really cool question.
Right. Could all those themes about AI, human-machine relationships, consciousness, could they actually inform how we develop AI in the real world?
That's something to think about.
It is, right.
Yeah.
Maybe anime isn't just reflecting our future, maybe it's actually helping to shape it.
That's exciting.
It is. So keep thinking about all of this.
Yeah?
Let's continue this conversation. The future of anime is full of possibilities, and we're all part of it.
It's really fascinating how these trends in anime, like AI and streaming, are actually reflecting these larger trends we're seeing in society. We're all kind of grappling with these rapid advancements and what they mean for us.
Yeah, it makes you think about how anime often explores these huge philosophical questions about technology and humanity,
Yeah.
like those classic series Ghost in the Shell or Serial Experiments Lane.
Oh, yeah, totally.
They were dealing with virtual reality, artificial intelligence, the blurring lines between physical and digital worlds way before it was like part of our everyday lives.
Yeah, those are great examples, and they were so ahead of their time. It's like anime creators have this knack for, anticipating and then grappling with these really complex issues through their storytelling.
It really makes you wonder what those stories can teach us about navigating this crazy world that's changing so fast.
Right.
What kind of insights or warnings can we get from anime's take on technology and humanity and the future?
Mm. That's where things get really interesting. I think anime can be like this testing ground for ideas and possibilities.
Yeah.
It can show us the potential benefits, but also the dangers of technology, depending on how we choose to use it.
It's almost like a cautionary tale, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like showing us what could happen if we're not careful if we let technology control us instead of the other way around.
And it can also inspire us to think differently about all the possibilities,
Yeah,
right?
totally. Anime has this power to just spark our imagination, to push us to question things, to
Yeah.
encourage us to think about alternative futures.
So it's not just entertainment, it's about engaging with these big ideas and having those conversations about what kind of future we want to build, both in the world of anime and in our real lives.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important for you as a viewer to be an active participant in this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just passively watch. Think about what you're seeing, the messages, the themes, what resonates with you, what makes you uncomfortable, what questions does it raise?
I love that. And don't be afraid to share your thoughts, talk to other fans, discuss your interpretations, support creators who are pushing boundaries and exploring these themes.
Because at the end of the day, the future of anime is a collaborative effort. It's
Yeah.
shaped by the creators, the industry, and most importantly, by you, the viewers.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the future of anime, I want to leave you with one final thought-provoking question. We've talked about how technology is influencing anime, but what about the reverse? How might anime, with its unique storytelling and imaginative worlds, actually influence the development of AI?
That's such a fascinating question. Could the themes of AI and human-machine relationships and the nature of consciousness that are explored in so many anime series, could that actually inform, the real-world ethical and philosophical frameworks that we use to guide AI development?
It's definitely something to think about, right? Maybe anime isn't just reflecting our technological future. Maybe it's actually helping to shape it.
And that's a really exciting thought.
It is. So keep those neurons firing and let's continue this conversation beyond this deep dive. The future of anime is full of possibilities and we're all a part of this evolving story.